walking to the beach in the hot sun because hubby is taking a nap and we're gonna meet up later to go to a different beach, our favorite one, and stay for sunset. So I am getting in a bit of exercise and vitamin D. So I'll see you at the beach. Here we are, our absolutely favorite beach. Well, maybe not the favorite, but where we spend majority of our time. We come here in the mornings for a quick run like we did this morning. And I sometimes come here and work. So I'll just come and write on my phone and do some things on my phone, take a swim, go back and write. This is where the dogs usually are in the morning. The pack of wild, I say wild because they are scared of humans. I apologize in advance for the wind. Maybe I can cut it out in the audio later. We'll see. But here we are in our favorite spot. Well, I've decided to sit down behind this rock because the sun is very, very strong. It is hot. And even though I put on some sunscreen, I do not want to get burned or have my phone overheat. So, what is the point of this video? What are we here to talk about at the beach? I recently went on my stories on Instagram and talked a little bit about fasting. And the reason I did that is because recently we had an experience that required almost us to do another fast. And the reason that we wanted to do that is because we had a difficult time in a place that we traveled to recently. And that place was Vanuatu. Vanuatu is a chain of islands in the South Pacific, and it is gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. We only went to one of the islands, Port Vila, where the capital is, and it was incredible. The people are super sweet, so nice, so welcoming, typical islanders who, you know, are on island time, and it's just wonderful. However, we weren't there as tourists in the sense that we were there, we thought, to spend a few months and kind of like settle down and take it slower because we had been traveling so much in the past year. In Vanuatu, what made it so difficult was the fact that we hadn't really planned very well. It was a combination of things. Our minimal planning, the fact that transportation was chaotic and very expensive if you wanted to rent a car. And I say chaotic because if you wanted to catch a bus to go somewhere else on the island, you basically just had to go out in the street and be like, woo, like you're trying to hail a taxi in New York City or something. And then like they stop and they ask you where you're going and you tell them and like, oh no, sorry. And so then they go on and you wait for the next one to come along, or they say, yeah, I'm going that way, and you hop in. Super random, no hours, no nothing. It's all on island time, which is fine. You know, if you're there as a tourist, I think it's a bit different than if you're there to settle down and actually live in this and deal with that on a daily basis. And so the transportation was really expensive because, like I said, we didn't plan, so we didn't rent a car ahead of time because we thought, oh, we'll just rent a motorbike, you know, a little what do we call them? Moped? I think that's what we call them. But then we get there and they tell us, oh no, there's no motorbikes for rent because they basically were all sold during COVID because there was nobody to rent them out. And so we were like, okay. So then we go and try to rent a car and it was like $100, maybe a little bit less, but $100 for a day. And we were like, no, thank you. So that was a little disconcerting. And frustrating because we did not expect that. Again, we didn't do our research. We probably could have found that out if we had done our research beforehand. It was also difficult for some other reasons. I won't go into detail because this video is not about Vanuatu. It's not about traveling there and what you should avoid and all that stuff. Maybe I'll make a video like that later, but for now, this one is about fasting. Thought I heard something behind me. Gotta watch out for monkeys here. We just did not have the time that we expected to have in Vanuatu, and we didn't stay as long as we expected. So we came back to Thailand, which is where I am right now. We are in Koh Lanta. We've been here for a little bit more than a month now. And this is the place we came to when we first came to Thailand last year in November. And we absolutely fell in love with this place. So that's why we came back, because it's, guaranteed good time. And so when we got back, we were like, we need to do a fast. We need to reset. So the reason that we use fasting as a tool to reset, like physically, mentally, spiritually, everything, is because it allows your whole self, all of your systems, everything to regenerate, reboot, and you just feel so much better afterwards. So why should you fast? What are the benefits of it? Well, actually, maybe before we get into the benefits and why it's a good idea, maybe I should talk about what even is fasting. What the heck is it? Because fasting can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And not everybody is going to be able to do every type of fasting. But I think that everybody can benefit from fasting. If you disagree, or you've tried every type of fasting there is and there's nothing that makes you feel good and it's all bad for you, then please let me know, because that would be very interesting to talk about. So fasting can be many things, like I said. You can do basically fasting is not eating your regular food for a determined amount of time. Basically, you can go for 24 hours without eating. So from sundown to the next day sundown, 24 hours. Meaning you eat, let's say you eat a meal tonight, you eat dinner, and then you don't eat until tomorrow's dinner. Which doesn't sound so bad, right? Like, it's kind of like intermittent fasting, but it's a bit longer. Intermittent fasting is normally you're skipping one meal. This would technically be two. I've done intermittent fasting since 2018, pretty much constantly. I've eaten breakfast. I usually eat breakfast if I'm feeling like really low on energy, or I try to listen to my body and what it needs. So I haven't done it like religiously every single day since 2018, but for the most part, I have done intermittent fasting, and it has incredible benefits for me. I find that when I eat in the morning, normally, it also depends on what I eat, my digestion really obviously kicks in, and I feel quite heavy, and like my mind isn't as clear, so that I can work and even like exercise. I even exercise when I'm intermittent fasting. I'll usually probably have a protein shake or something, but usually it's not like no carbs or very, very small amount. Moving on, another type of fasting would be 48 hours, 72 hours, a whole week. Val and I had an experience last year in Costa Rica where we didn't eat a solid food for a whole week, 7 days, which was extremely challenging. I would not recommend it for beginner fasters. It's definitely something that you do once you're comfortable with fasting for a few days at a time and you see that your body can handle it. Another story for another time. Other types of fasting would be water fasting, where you're only drinking water. Juice fasting, only drinking juices, smoothies, that type of thing. Another type of fasting is the Daniel diet. This is from the book of Daniel in the Bible, where Daniel is a captive from Israel. He chooses not to eat the king's diet, the king of Babylon, meaning he only has vegetables, legumes, fruits, nuts, seeds, that type of thing, and drinks water instead of wine. And then it turned out that he and his friends who had that type of diet were found to be stronger, smarter, looked healthier than those who were eating the King's diet. What else is there? Another type of fasting. Did I say dry fasting? Dry fasting is another one. That is where you don't eat or drink. Now, again, this is pretty intense type of fasting. I would recommend that to someone who needs a very quick and very intense reset. Basically, they say that 1 day of dry fasting is worth 3 days of water fasting. So, and I think that's because you're like nothing is going into your digestive system. Like those organs are not doing anything but regenerating without moving anything along that tract. So I'm not a doctor, I couldn't tell you the exact specifics, but it's an interesting subject to look into. If you want to know what I'm fiddling with, it's this little vine thingy that goes all the way over there. So that's fasting. The type of fasting that Val and I did when we got back was a 3-day fast, so 72 hours. And we were going to do, I think we wanted to just start off with water and try to do that for the whole 3 days. And that didn't go as planned. That's when we realized how badly we needed to fast, because we could not make it the 3 days without some kind of solid food. Like we ate fruit on the second day and the third day, because it was so hard. Like it was so much harder than before. And I think that really spoke to how badly we needed the fast and how low we were spiritually, mentally, physically, everything. We just needed a major reset. So I was really, really glad we did that, because fasting really helps you to develop body awareness. It helps you to realize like, oh wow, I don't really need to eat as much as I thought I did. Now that's not to say that you won't be hungry, because trust me, you will be hungry. Your body is going to be like, what the heck are you doing to me, woman? Give me food. Especially if you've never fasted before, it's going to be very challenging. So keep that in mind. It is not by any means an easy thing to do. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. And I know like so many people tell me like, there's no way I could go without food. What the heck are you talking about? How is that even healthy? Trust me, you will see for yourself if you try it. Just try 24 hours. It's basically just skipping 2 meals, which may sound really challenging and really difficult and an impossible thing to do, but your brain will thank you. Your digestive system will thank you. Your nervous system will thank you. So look at it as, yes, you are putting a little bit of stress on your body by not eating, right? It's a bit stressful. Like your mind is like, whoa, what's going on? Like, where's the food? But stress isn't necessarily a super negative, horrible, bad thing. And we can take the example of working out. When you work out, you are putting stress on your muscles and your bones and all these things. So, and that's a good thing. Don't think of these little stressors as something super negative, like you shouldn't be doing. A little bit of stress is good for your body. It helps it to adapt, to push past difficulties. And you'll find, I have found that with fasting, I am better able to manage my emotions. I have more awareness of what's going on in my mind and in my body. And I just feel so much better mentally. Like your mind, it is unreal. If you struggle with like brain fog and things like that, try fasting, even just intermittent fasting in the morning or evening. Your brain fog will disappear. It's insane.